All those in favor of the deferral, please raise your hand. 9-0.
Your worship, moved by Councillor Cloud, second by Councillor Page, that the request for a lot frontage variance from 18 meters to 17 meters at 25 Greenfield Avenue, PID 352971, in order to subdivide the existing oversized corner lot into 2 lots laid out in the east-west axis direction to maintain the east-west lot configuration of surrounding properties be rejected.
Councillor Rivera,
Thank you, Your Worship.
and then Councillor Duran. Yes, sir.
I read through the package from and this one in particular. The 3-foot variance. It's not a big variance. It seems pretty minor. You know, I listened to the public meeting or the planning board meeting. It seemed that there was information that was shared that may not be the full truth, or maybe you know, Mr. Ford or somebody didn't correct the person speaking, led to some confusion, if you will. Again, a 3-foot variance, it just seems really small, and I guess I'm asking the chair, am I missing something here that's not in the package that caused the planning board to put a recommendation to reject versus what the planning staff had recommended for, which was approval?
Thank you very much.
Councillor McLeod.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Thank you very much, Councillor Bird, for your question here. Again, it was kind of it kind of stumped all of us how we arrived at this, but I think, you know, the fact that the variance people had wanted to speak, and we just went through it with Viceroy. It's kind of the same neighborhood, the same people kind of get up and start to speak again about traffic concerns, and we got a little overwhelmed. It was a long evening, and at the same time, there are, you know, the community is concerned about traffic, and you know, we recently put the stop sign in at the corner of the Northwood Road, and the neighbors feel that they're seeing more traffic now going up Greenfield. Instead, they're trying to get around the stop sign, and so, you know, they were strongly opposed to this application, and but at the same time, you know, we've had bigger ones approved, so it's a tight neighborhood, and they didn't want to see a lot of change, and I think that's what the board felt at the time, and when they made their vote. So you know, I'm quite open to anything here this evening. I was kind of like you, Greg. I was kind of stumped as to why that didn't pass, but. You know, with these variances, the trouble with the variances is we don't have a public meeting, but each person can come in and speak, and you know, they felt pretty strong, and I think that kind of got the committee a little confused, especially just dealing with the one prior to that. So, you know, I mean, the applicant does have a right to go the other way, and I think that might have had something to do with it as well. I think instead of being east-west, they can actually go northwest and come out on the side street. And so that kind of weighed into it too, and you know, with so much concern from the neighborhood, why don't they just go the other way and be done with it? The only trouble with that is I think the applicant of right now will want to go east-west. You know, the shed in the back of their house that's there now would almost become somewhat of a buffer if they went east-west, which is a good thing for the neighbors behind them. Where if they go north-south, then they're going to be right up to the fence of that of those neighboring houses behind them. So in some ways, this might be a better way to go. But the shared driveway was another concern. You know, the neighbors didn't feel like they wanted to see a big 20-foot patch of asphalt going up Queensfield. So that was another part of the equation to why the board made the decision to go the way they did. The neighborhood did not like to see that shared driveway. And there might be some other concerns that some of the other members here might want to share as well, but I think that was how the committee came up with what they did on that particular resolution. Thank you.
Supplementary question, Councillor?
No, I'm good.
Okay, Councillor Drummond and Councillor McCabe.
Thank you very much, Councillor McLeod. Great explanation. How you can get overwhelmed when all this information is coming at you. As we get our packages and we go through them, you know, you start to wonder what is right, what is wrong. You know, 1 meter variance doesn't seem like a big deal. And then when we say a shared driveway, you know, we talk about, you know, this big monstrosity of a driveway. It's going to be like a a driveway and a half. It's not gonna be big, but when you're at the meetings and all these information comes out, it's hard to deal with, but just to clarify, this is not an undersized lot.
No.
So, you know, they have an as of right to subdivide it, but they want to do the right thing and to keep with the essence of the street. They want to build it, they want a shared driveway. You know, I dealt with the city here a month or two ago myself in a shared driveway. Great plan, you know, it's gonna work out well. I subdivided the lot myself, you know, it's working. It's gonna put another home in a nice area, and it's gonna be built, you know, to a high degree. It's gonna add to the neighborhood, so I can't understand. And then when I read all the positives that our staff gave, you know, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 positives, and then the one shortcoming is it has less frontage than required. So the only negative is 1 meter. Like, that's not, we approve things here every month on 20 feet or 10 meters or variances left, right. These people are not asking for a whole lot. So, you know, I'd like council to really, you know, once you have the information and the board went back and you got to some time to read it, you know, I think the sober second thought to look at reality and say this would be a good fit for the street. You know, when someone comes in and says, well, there's traffic, there's going to be traffic concerns. You know, really? Like 1 or 2 cars? Is that a concern? Like, that's not a sufficient concern, you know, in my belief. Like, but that's just my belief. I look at all the positives and our background of this council approving numerous developments for housing, and when it comes to an area that, you know, it's going to be built nice, it's going to be a nice house, all of a sudden we pull back and say no. I mean, if it's good enough for Sherwood, it should be good enough for Brighton. I mean, it's not in the 500 lot area. I mean, this is a nice area. So why are we not all in Charlottetown? We're all given the same exact, you know, information, you know, thought process of giving these people a chance to build a beautiful home in a nice area. I just ask the council to really think about this. This would be a good fit, I think. Thank you for your time and your explanation.
Councilor Kidd?
Okay, thank you. And I guess, Alex, I'm just going to want it on public record, a clarification that this isn't as of right subdivided, right? Whether if you went north-south versus east-west.
Well, Your Worship, that is what, they have done all of the math on the property. They have an architect that's working with them. That's my understanding, but until staff gets a plan that clearly shows everything the way that it's configured, you know, because you need a survey to ensure that the other building, the main building on there, is going to be set back an appropriate amount. But that is my understanding that they can do it. But again, until I see like a survey plan and can to make those assessments, I can't say definitively. But that's what's being projected, that they can do it without.
So Aaron Stanford, he's an architect, right? He
Aaron's
did the design here. So we got the drawings here.
Right, you have the drawings, but you know, they are working with a surveyor on, you know, you need a surveyor to work on the lot.
Go ahead, Councilor.
But it was indicated in planning board that it wasn't as of right. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure, yeah.
So I actually voted against it in planning board because then we had a resident come in and provide a whole bunch of information of why it wasn't correct. And for me, I felt like I needed to do a little more research in order to understand what was right and what wasn't right, because it was a lot of information that night. And I am someone that will, if this is an as of right the other way, would be comfortable with a 1 meter variance for sure. But I want to make sure that this is correct.
So, Mr. Forbes, and if you want to respond to Mr. Forbes, go ahead there, Mr. Forbes.
It's my understanding the reason they don't want to go in the other direction.
North-south.
Right, because there's a garage there that they would like to retain. They also have a deck off the back of the property, and when you create that new line, when they go in that direction, it may impact that deck. That deck may need to be sort of cut down or something, but those are things that they could deal with if they were presented with them.
Councilor Cade.
Yep, there was lots of talk about a lot infill and all these different things the other night. So again, I just want to make it clear. So sort of like some of the previous applications we've been faced with that we ended up in a war zone, that this is actually an as-of-right subdivided lot, that they have a right to put a house on. They have to have a variance if it goes this way, regardless if there's a shed or if there's this, but if they have an as-of-right, that's all I want to make sure before I
Yeah, so
vote.
north-south, there's no variances, east-west, there's a variance report required, correct?
A 1 meter variance.
Yes, yes,
Yes, and it is as of right to do it the other way.
yes, okay.
That's, I just want to be clear.
That's what you're
before I
basing
vote.
your vote on.
Correct. That wasn't clear to me.
Is that clear, Mr. Forbes?
Yes, yeah, but again, I mean, we're talking about a future state, we would, you know, we'd like to have the documentation, but it's being conveyed to us, they can do it the other direction. If they think it's better, and I think it's better for the neighborhood, the way that the building is placed on Greensfield, because it's just, I think it'll line up better in that neighborhood.
Okay.
So I guess the question is, on the decision tonight, all you need to be mindful of is that you're not deciding on the future lot, you're deciding on what they're asking for this evening, but you have to be mindful that that lot may happen, it won't be here, and it'll happen overnight, because it'll happen in the planning department. That information is provided to you in the event that you turn it down, and then a month later, somebody's building a house on that lot, because it doesn't need to come back here, that
Yeah.
one lot, if they could do it without variances.
Yeah, but they can't go on the east-west, it has to go the north-south, as of right.
It's the north-south that they would have to do as of right, but again, you're just deliberating on what here this evening.
For the variance.
Right, but just be mindful of that, if you say no, that a future state, another lot could be created on that lot, you folks won't see it.
Because it meets the requirements on the plan.
And unless it needed a variance, it would have to come back here.
And this is an old neighborhood. The homes in some of those streets are 100 years plus, so it's old Charlottetown, and I think that was reflected in the presentations, correct? That these are old stately lots. Yes, Adam? Councillor Yankoff? Oh, yes, go right ahead.
I realize that we're not voting on what they can do as of right, but I just haven't heard a clear answer from Mr. Forbes of, you know, yes or no. Is it as of right if it's built north-south? And that it won't be back here with another variance because they have to do something here or something more. I'm just not hearing a clear.
Well, because we don't have an application, you have to validate, a surveyor is going to go in and survey that property. And once they show us the survey plan, we will go in there and look in regard to, yes, that you're meeting the lot, standards, you're meeting the frontage, the rear, you got lot lines. But the other thing too, which is in play, is that existing house on the corner. We have to find out exactly how close that is to that line of that future lot, the north-south lot, and where it is in relation to the deck. And those are things we don't know. But my understanding, they can do it. They may have to change their deck, but if they want to do it, they could potentially do it.
Is that clear, Councillor Yankoff? Because I know what you're saying. If we approve it, right? If we reject the rejection and approve what's been asked, and they come back and says, no, we need another variance. We can't back off, can we? Councillor McLeod?
I think
we're held.
I think what's being said is that with the as of right scenario, the original house that's there now, there'd be some issues with the setback to the new property line. So they might have to move their deck, whatever. With that application was to come forward, they would have to do something with their deck. And this is why they would prefer to go east-west, leave the other home the way it is. It's great, leave the way it is, nothing will change. There's a good buffer behind the house. To buffer from the residents behind, and then there would be a house beside, which the applicant has also said that they would make it as close to fit to the area, the surrounding as they could. But the issues, again, the two main ones were the parking of the shared driveway and the lot infill, which they didn't seem to understand, the folks, that is a policy and of the planning department to moving forward, that the city fill in these lots to provide housing for people that's needed. So that's the two that really caught everybody off guard at the night of the planning meeting. So I would suggest here tonight, if you're not in favor of the rejection, then do the proper thing or whatever you feel, and then go forward with another resolution if you feel, or we can even defer it if you feel like. It's whatever the council would like to do.
Councillor Tweedy.
So as I understand it correctly, Mr. Forbes, the staff had recommended to planning board approval.
Correct.
Okay, so I think what we're looking at here is folks that have made the request for the variance, major variance, which Councilor Rivera pointed out is 3 feet. Not a huge variance compared to, as Councilor Brown pointed out in this chamber. We've appointed many variances in this chamber over the years. Folks that are making this request, they're current property owners, live in this neighborhood. They live in the house. There for over 30 years. Very well-respected people. Very conscientious about the integrity, the fabric, the setting of this neighborhood. I truly believe that they'll continue to communicate with the neighborhood. And I believe that the home that they're going to construct will fit in consistently with the other homes in the neighborhood. They're going to maintain that integrity. In terms of trees, all the trees are going to stay up, except for, I think, maybe one, and they're going to do everything they can to avoid taking that one down. So I feel quite comfortable that the neighborhood of Greenfield, in a final analysis, will be very pleased with what the commitment that these two individuals have made and continue to make. Again, I want to reiterate, they're very conscientious about the neighborhood. They've talked to people that are adjacent to them, lifelong friends. So I have no hesitation whatsoever in supporting this development, considering the fact that they're the ones that are doing the development and they're there. So a lot of respect for these two individuals, and I'll be supporting their proposal.
Thank you. Councillor Duffy from Ward 3.
Thank you, Worship. I will be supporting the rejection, approving the rejection, for the mere fact there's two circumstances here. These folks, the fine folks, I know that as well. I've known them for a very long time. They want to put 2 homes on their lot. They can do it legally with no variance, or they can do it another way, which requires a variance. If their application is rejected, they have an avenue, 2 avenues actually. They can do it the legal way and everything settles out. Or they can continue with what they applied for and go to IRAC. So they have 2 avenues of redress. So I think it's a more common sense approach. The neighbors down there are quite upset. I understand why. It's just the way things unfolded, and they're long term, and so are the people that are applying. They're long-term residents down there, and they contribute to this community. Both sides, the people on both sides of the issue, contribute to this community in a very heavy way. So I will be supporting the rejection, realizing there's other opportunities for the party.
Thank you, Your Worship. Councillor Rivera. Councillor Brown.
Just quick follow-up. If I may ask,
Yes, you may.
Yep. Alice, did you say that we don't have a survey plan? You guys don't have a survey plan at planning? Did you say that?
No, we have a survey plan. We're kind of conflating 2 things. They're asking for the 3-foot variance.
Yes.
And they're indicating to us that that doesn't happen. They're going to, I don't know whether they're going to, but they're indicating that they can subdivide it in that north-south direction. Since they're not applying for that north-south direction lot, we don't have that lot configuration. There's a lot of detailed, measurements that you need to see in regard to that new lot line in relation to the existing house in the corner. But that's what I'm told, and I'm pretty confident that they can do that. But I can't tell you that until I verify what they will end up doing. I'm pretty confident they have a large deck on the back. They can remove the deck. They can pull the deck back. But again, that survey on the future lot, if they go in that direction, we would look at that. So the existing lot is proposed, and it's 3-foot short frontage.
Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Your Worship, just to follow up here. Now, just to clarify, this is not an undersized lot, right? So it's, I think it is here, The new created lot and the existing lot are both 50% larger than the minimum lot requirements. So this is not an undersized lot, and that's why you were so adamant with all these good points of interest that, you know, it was approved by your department. You know, when you look at this, they're looking to keep the structure of the neighborhood, right? They want to build it next door to keep a house. You know, if they go north to south, it's going to kind of misconstrue the area there, right? They want to do it the right way, they want to do it in line. You know, with all due respect, Councillor Duffy, I feel that, you know, some of your residents are upset, but welcome to our world. You know, with all the new development going on in Ward 6, you know, our residents were upset. This is not a major development. It's a very minor development, one house, no traffic. You know, the parking issue, our staff are quite adamant that, you know, shared driveway is sufficient. You know, all these good points. You know, we're in one Charlottetown now, and we should be jumping at this to have a nice infill, because that's what the planning department is to do with large lots, is to put a nice house in there. That's the mandate of us here, and that's what's been going on for the last 2 or 3 years with the housing crisis. So now to sit here and say, well, no, we can't do it because it's in your area, you know, it's kind of a total flip of where we're going as a council in the city. Let's build some houses, let these people build a nice house right next door and get on with this. With all due respect, thank you very much.
Councillor Duffy, do you want to follow
Thank
up?
you, Your Worship. The only thing I have to add is that you can do the infilling, you can have 2 houses on this tract of land legally, without a variance. The people that applied decided to go the other way, and that's why they need the variance. It's their decision has caused them to need a variance. If they would do it the north-south route, there'd be no variance. We wouldn't be here tonight.
It'd be done through the department.
Thank you.
Okay, question? Question called, Councillor McCabe? Okay, this is to reject. Okay, all those in favor of the rejection, please put up your hand. So it's Councillors Duffy and Yankoff in favor of the rejection, okay? Those against, please raise your hand. So it's Councillors McLeod, are you against it, Councillor McLeod, the rejection? Councillor against it. Tweel, Councillor Revere, Councillor Duran, Councillor Ramsey, Councillor McCabe, and Deputy Mayor? Okay, so it's 6-2. And those, now we need another resolution to approve.
Your Worship,
Can you just read it over, please?
moved by
6-2 is 8, we're only missing 1 council.
Yeah, 7-2, excuse me. 7-2 is,
Good math.
I'm thinking of 8.
Your Worship, moved by Councillor Cloud, seconded by Councillor Cabe, that the request for a lot frontage variance from 18 meters to 17 meters at 25 Greenfield Avenue, PID 352971, in order to subdivide the existing oversized corner lot into 2 lots laid out in the east-west axis direction to maintain the east-west lot configuration of surrounding properties be approved, Your Worship.
No discussion required? Questions called? Okay. All those in favor, please raise your hand. So you want me to read them out there, please? Okay. So 7. And those against, please raise your hand. 7-2. That adds up.
That's a little better. Didn't have to take your shoes off this time, huh? Count.